Hello and welcome to BBC News. The prospect of an international clash over supply of coronavirus vaccines appears to have eased after the European Union decided not to ban exports. The measures had been under consideration at a summit of the bloc's leaders, but after talking over video link until late on Thursday evening, they decided instead to back tougher controls on exports of jabs made in the EU to third countries. Similar measures already exist, but have only been used once. It seems that enough of the leaders were worried about the possible effect on global supply chains to hold back on taking that next step. Here's the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen outlining what they agreed.
We have to and want to explain to our European citizens that they get their fair share. And therefore, the second principle is that companies have to honour their contract to the European Union before they export to other regions in the world. And this is, of course, the case with AstraZeneca. I think it is clear for the company that, first of all, the company has to catch up, has to honour the contract it has with the European member states before it can engage again in exporting vaccines.
Ms von der Leyen wants what she calls reciprocity on exports of vaccines, and she feels the European Union has been exporting far more than it's been using itself. That's put pressure on European leaders whose vaccination programmes have been noticeably behind some other countries. What's the reality of this situation? Well, China, the USA, the EU and India are the main producers of COVID vaccines. Between them, they've produced around 470 million doses, with 6 different vaccines in use. The UK, Russia, Switzerland and South Korea trail behind the top 4 producers. The United States is the only one of the top 4 vaccine producers not to have exported any doses. More than half of vaccines produced in China and India do head to other countries, and for the EU, it's about a third. So, where are the doses being produced in the European Union being sent? From the beginning of February to the middle of March, the EU exported 41 million doses of COVID vaccines to 33 different countries. The UK, the 5th biggest producer of vaccines, received 9 million doses from the EU. Canada was the next biggest importer, with 4 million received from Europe. Mexico, not far behind, with 3 million doses. Well, I'm joined now by Swedish politician Jytte Jutterlund, who's a member of the European Parliament, joins us from Brussels. Thank you very much for being with us here on BBC News. Do you think we are going to reach a point where there are export blocks of vaccines?
I think we need to do everything to avoid that, actually. We are very interlinked in this pandemic. We are in this together. And we are also, when it comes to the vaccine supply, very interlinked between the countries. So it would hurt us all if we get to that.
From what I've seen you saying, one of your key concerns seems to be transparency about what is being produced and where it's going.
I think that's really important, the transparency part, because that's the way also we can put political pressure on different countries to act reasonable in all this, because it's actually not reasonable from the UK not to help out here more. When we know how much the EU is exporting in vaccine doses to the UK, I believe it should be very reasonable that the same courtesy should be back. And that's why transparency is so important. So we know the figures, so we know who gives to who, and so we avoid the export ban.
So is it your feeling that in this, the UK is behaving badly, to be blunt?
I mean, we don't need to use hard words, but we need to make it very clear that the EU is one of the biggest exporters when it comes to vaccine in the world. And since December, I believe it's 21 million doses of vaccine that has been exported to UK from the EU. And when we are in this situation now, signed the contract with AstraZeneca, and when we see that they are not delivering as fair as they should to the citizens of the EU, then of course that's a problem.
I think I'm going to take that as a very polite way of saying Yes, but the last question I want to ask you is because AstraZeneca is Anglo-Swedish, there's 2,500 employees in Sweden. Is it a vaccine that is trusted by the Swedish public?
I would say it's trusted by the public. I think most people see that the value of getting a vaccine that is tested, the investigation has been there to prove it's safe. I believe that the Swedish people see the value of that and how many lives that can be saved. But that said, there is also rightly so, many people who are angry with how AstraZeneca behaved when it comes to the contract with the EU.
Jutta Lund, thank you so much for your time.